Our next speaker is actually another great contributor to the community. He has been involved in multiple projects over the last few years, and he's going to be sharing with us his latest and greatest research. And I think once again, in the previous talk, we had some tool to actually help us in the forensic acquisition process. Now we're going to the other side of the fence, which is incident response. How do you document? How do you handle all that complex information that we collect? And that's precisely what we're going to be here now. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jinto Antony. I work for Secure as a senior investigator. Previously it was known as F-Secure for Business, based in Finland. I'm one of the creator of the Kanvas tool. I have other couple of projects. If you're interested, you can have a look. SODs. So you might have heard about SODs, which is nothing but Spreadsheet of Doom. When you look at incidents, cases, you might end up using Excel spreadsheet. So let's face it, whatever fancy tools you have in incident response, you might end up using spreadsheets. And one of the challenges, the more the case gets more complex, things will get messy. So good to use the SODs, but the challenge is practically it become a mess during an investigations, right? So why another tool? So we have a lot of commercial tools, open source tools out there. One challenge I faced is, especially with open source tools, over a period of time, nobody maintains it. And when that happens, your data, your incident response data, get locked into some proprietary format, proprietary database or Excel sheet or something like that. So I want to avoid that. So as I was building this tool, some of the design principle I used it, data portability. Even without the tool, even without this open source tool, you should be able to use your data as it is. Second thing is, there's no complicated setup, like you need to set up a web server, you need to set up a database, XYZ things. No, that's not the idea here. And the third thing is, instead of exposing your UI directly on the web, like a web interface, I want to create something locally on your machine, which you can spin up and run it very quickly. That's some of the design principle I used. So the core idea is, what if I can use the same Excel file, which you normally use, which is called SOD, with a little bit of wrapper, which is a UI, and that can manage your case management, some of the workflows, note-taking, without switching between multiple browsers, multiple tools, and things like that. That's the core idea. So you have the Excel file, the core database or the core data stores in your Excel file, and you have some MDs, markup files, YAML files, and things like that. The idea here is, even without the tool, you can take out that, use it on your own machine, your own tools, or your own VS Code, or whatever you feel like using it after the case. Right, so we'll get into a demo quickly. It's a 9 minutes video recorded demo. So it'll be very quick, so pardon me for my speed, but what I want you to focus is the video, not my talk. So after that, if you have any more details you needed, let me know. Otherwise, please focus on this video. That will give you more information than me yapping here about the tools. The tool this is how the tool looks like. The tool is completely built on Python, and the interface is Qt. If you're not familiar with Qt, that's the same interface which is used in most of these Tesla cars or all these, the UI on the endpoints. Right? On the left-hand side, you'll see 3 categories. One is case management, another one is lookups, and the third one is knowledge management. We'll see that one by one in detail. At the bottom, you'll see some shortcuts. We'll get to that later, but that will give you certain export function, quick references, and things like that. And what I want you to remember is, this is not a fancy tool for your case management in terms of integrating with Slack, Jira, and status page and things like that. This is purely from an investigator point of view, and is purely running on the Excel file. All the visualizations, all the lateral movement, everything you see within the tool is derived from the Excel file. There is no other fancy stuff going on inside the tool. All right, so when you click on the new case on the top, it will create an SOD file, basically the SOD file within your directory of the tool. So I've created an SOD template, drop that SOD Excel file within that particular folder. If you prefer to use your own SOD file, Excel file, drop it on the directory and it will pick up and it will create a template. So when you click on new one, it will create something like this. Now the video is on. So yeah, I'll be changing my pace. So this is some of the SODs you normally see, like timeline, systems, account, nothing fancy going on. This is a typical way. Maybe it's a CrowdStrike, maybe your own, maybe Sans SOD thing. For the demo purpose, I'll be using a finished SOD template, which I'm going to load it by using open case. Click on the open case. You'll open an Excel file, which is a finished case. As soon as you open, you'll see all the sheets over here, which means if you have 100 sheets, it will open up over here. That will help you to navigate your Excel sheet within the tool, right? So if you can look at systems, timelines, indicators, whatever you feel like adding it to your Excel file, it's over here. Let's go back to the timeline. You have an add entry. You can give data to here. The benefit is a lot of data is pre-populated. For example, MITRE, TTPs, event systems, and things like that. It's already pre-populated. So it's better when you edit your Excel file. And right-click, you will find all these typical workflows, duplicate, copy, delete, edit, everything is over there, right? And evidence type, if you find a new evidence type, for example, you find Sonic Wall Firewall, you want to add it, you can add it to the Excel file. Everything goes back to the Excel file. This is only required when if you want to change the visualization for your lateral movement. We'll see that in the later slide. And you can add it over here. That will change your visualization. Now, let's go back to the timeline. This timeline is info from your Excel sheet, meaning it's a chronological order of your incident timeline. And you can even change it or modify it based on your day-wise or the system-wise and things like that. And yeah, it shows you the day-wise based on whatever you enter into your Excel file. And the one interesting feature is you can export that as an image file and you can drop that into your report, whether it's a debrief slides or it would be your finished report. Anything you think of, you can export and save it. Lateral movement, that's another feature. This is completely built from an Excel file. You don't need to do any fancy stuff. It info from your data, and you can redraw that graphs or the lateral movement based on the Excel file. And similar to timeline, you can export that and save it into your PPT for debrief and things like that. Yeah, click save, and if you want, you can pop that into your presentation. Attack summary, that gives you from the Excel file your attack summary, your MITRE attack summary based on your sheet. Comes to the defend, maybe it's useful, you might have already used it, especially when it's the initial phase of investigation where we need to know the remediation, the recovery, isolation. So it's mapped based on your Excel file. It is integrated with your MITRE defend. It will tell you, okay, these are the defenses. It's good for you to implement during the initial phase of the implementation. Completely based on MITRE defend framework. It's pulling that database from the GitHub and showing it to you based on the Excel file. Where is reporting? If you are interested to share your information with Verizon data breach or NCSC, for example, UK, you can use this, you can edit it, and yeah, you can pretty much do everything within the interface. All the data goes back to your Excel file. And you can export it as a CSV or TXT file, and you can give it to Verizon data breach. That's how you collaborate with incident details with others, if you're interested. Yep. Save it as CSV, whatever format you want, and then you can convert it and save it, anonymize the data, you can send it. Flow Builder, this is the MITRE Flow Builder, which is within your tool. So basically, if you want to share your MITRE TTPs or IOCs in a much consumable way to a threat intelligence, you can use that. This is how it can create. And behind the scene, I'm using MITRE Flow Builder. So within the tool, without switching any tools, you can use that. You can start building your flow. I will show you one example because it takes time to build the flows. Yeah, and this is straight into your threat intelligence team and better way to share your data. So I'm opening one finished intelligence. I believe it is for Akira. That's how it looks like. So this is how MITRE build the attack flow, and you can modify, add, delete, customize it whatever way you want, and you can export it whatever format you want, JSON, sticks, image file. If you prefer to use this in your report as an image file, you can export it here, and you can use that inside your report. It's that simple. That's pretty much on the case management side, the capabilities of Kanvas tool. I'll move to the lookups now. Lookups is nothing fancy going on here. If you are investigating something, it'll be much more handy to look at IP address, domain names, hash values, and so on and so forth. Instead of jumping into different places, you can see everything here. There are two types of buttons. One is green. That means you're activating the APIs. Behind the scene, it uses Shodan, VT, and things like that. If you prefer to click on the pink buttons, that means it will directly take you to the website with that particular, whatever the parameter is. So there are two ways to look at it. There are some calculated field within it. If you try to play with it, you'll understand there are certain info field from that. Yeah, no explanation required. Email insights, have I been pawned? That's the API it's using behind the scenes, so maybe it's useful. So the idea is, when you investigate something, everything within your tool. You don't need to jump between multiple tools. App ID Insight, if you've worked on Microsoft business email compromises and things like that, you might see a lot of app IDs within the logs, and it might be a little difficult to understand what is going on, whether it's legitimate or not. So I'm pulling a couple of open source projects and gets this information. So next time when you investigate business email compromise, have a look if you're not able to find the app IDs. CVEs, yes, no brainer here. It's like pulling that CVE ID's details, plus it is pulling the MITRE, the CISA details. Ransomware victim, it's integrated with Ransomware Live, so that if you're investigating something and you want to look at, okay, this customer is in the ransomware, anywhere in the ransomware published, you can use that. It's using Ransomware Live APIs. That's pretty much on the lookup side. Now, moving to the knowledge base, you have Markdown. So if you're a guy who prefer writing your notes and things like that in the markup file or text file, you can use that. I create my own investigation playbooks within this. So next time when I want to do it, I can use this, or I can keep editing it, or I can keep taking the notes. The fun part is, or the good part is, so far whatever I've shown you, it's self-exist without the tool. So if you prefer VS Code or any other code for your note taking, you can import that very easily. So tool is secondary. Instead of cluttering your web browser during an investigation, you have a lot of bookmarks and things like that, which is only for that investigation or only for your casework. You can create it over here, and it will be persisted across all your cases. LLM assistants, you guessed it, it's integrated with OpenAI and Anthropic. It's like a chat kind of features. If you want to ask something, you can do that. The best part is I created certain profiles based on certain use cases. For example, I want to convert my German to English, or I want to use this as a decoder for PowerShell. All these profiles are stored within the tool. Where it is stored? It's stored in the prompt directory as a YAML file. So if you want to create a system prompt or the user prompt, you can create over here, and you can customize the way you want, and then when you come back to the LLM assistant, everything can be loaded. There are a few more use cases which I'm building. More on that later. You can, once you select the profile, you can chat. I know you can use the same chat option in the web interfaces, which are less expensive than this. But in case if you want to predefine the profile and do it, this is how you can do it. Right? Well, API settings, yeah, you can look at certain API settings. There are more APIs within the tool. Next, go back to the indicators. All your IOCs, IP address, hash values, everything sits in the Excel file. If you want to export it, there's an option for Stix 2.0 export. When you click on this, all your Excel data IOCs converted into Stix format. You can pop that into your OpenCTI or anything supports Stix. Quick references, it's always difficult to keep everything in muscle memory. So if you want to search for event IDs and things like that, yes, you can do that here. As I said, it's not a big thing, but sometimes it helps. Living off the land binaries, it's pulling that GitHub project. So if you come across any investigation and you're doubtful about some of the binaries, click over here. You might get all the advisory tactics based on the open source project. So within this tool, you'll find out. I'll keep adding more and more references. This is not the core feature, but these are the good to have kind of feature. If you investigate Microsoft portal, they keep changing, they keep adding. It's a pain in the wrong place to find out all these URLs. So next time when you look at it, just have a look, and you might be able to do it. You might be able to get the full reference. I'm pulling another open source project called msportal.io. So maybe it's useful. That's pretty much on the tool. You have an option for defang on the last That might help you to sanitize. For example, if you want to export this Excel file and sanitize your IP address, domain names, URLs, one click you can export. I think that's pretty much about the tool. I hope you were able to follow the video than my talk. Now, what's available? 0.4.3, this version is available in GitHub. It's been running for a couple of months. So all the feature which I discussed today, it's already available, like incident timeline creation, automatically inferring your timelines, lateral movement, already there, MITRE attack, different frameworks, already there, note taking. If you prefer to use it in a text format, you can do that. All these options are already there. 4.4, which is what I showed you just now, that has got 3 new features, which is attack flow, MITRE attack flow, how to build within the tool, Sticks 2.0 export, and LLM assistance. I'll be releasing this tool right after this talk, or maybe beginning of this week. What's coming next? One problem with Excel files are, when you start collaborating with others, it has got the problem of locking down your Excel files, meaning only one person can edit, rest all read only. So that's the one fundamental problem. It's not the tool problem, it's an Excel problem. So I'm trying to build a multi-user with the API-driven dataset. As I said, the design principle is not to lock you with any database. So I've tested Airtables and Supabase. Basically, once you have the API, you pop that API onto the tool, and the data store works seamlessly. And tomorrow, if there is no tool, your data is still on Airtable or Supabase. And most of the cases I handled, let's say 10,000 lines, 20,000 lines, Airtable or the Supabase gives you the free access. So you don't need to pay anything at the moment, but that's the direction I'm going. If you want to have more collaboration within the tool, you can use that, or your preferred way of doing things. LLM workflows, you have seen the basic workflow where you create the profile and you start chatting. Yeah, that's very basic. But what if I use the LLM workflow within each and every stage of the investigation? Meaning you have MITRE different framework already mapped. So you have an Excel file, you start filling that Excel file, you get all the TTPs. Based on the TTP, you map the MITRE different. Very good. But it's all one-to-one mapping. It's like MITRE says X, and you can map it with Y. What if I integrate the LLM workflows within that, and instead of pulling the predefined one, say, look, give me the recommendation for this TTPs. You'll be able to do that. Or else I'm in the middle of an investigation, not finished it. I want to know these are the TTPs I'm seeing. Right click and show me what is the next step for threat actor point of view, or what should I investigate next. It's not in the finished stage, it's in the initial stage. So maybe these kind of LLMs are something I'm trying to integrate with the tool. That's the maybe in the future releases. Response actions. Not too many of response action. The 2 response action I'm looking at is when you are investigating cloud, disable, enable, Entra IDs, which is something very easy to do it. So that is something I'm trying to implement. Second thing I'm actively testing is we have a lot of Velociraptor integrations for our threat hunting. So what if I can fire up a Velociraptor job within this tool, and not replicating Velociraptor everything within the tool, but what if I can fire up the APIs within the tool? So these are some of the workflows. It's an open source, so feel free to develop whatever you feel like doing it. More API integration, but I'm a little cautious here because it's an open source tool, and I will be contributing maybe every quarter or yearly twice or thrice, but APIs keeps evolving. So you end up seeing that, okay, this tool is broken, it's of no use, nobody maintained it. It's maybe because the API is evolved, because API is something that keep changing, keep adding features, 2.0, 3.0, XYZ thing. So I'm a bit cautious about integrating more and more APIs, but still that is coming in its way. I think that's pretty much it. I'm on time. If you like the project, please drop a star on the GitHub. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much.